Okay, we're live. Are we live? We're live.
We're live.
We're live. Hey, Josh. Hi. I've got to be careful today. My daughter was watching the other day, and she told me off. She said I was talking across Josh at one point. I would like to make a formal apology.
Yeah, you. Do you know what?
I thought you'd take it better than that.
I didn't see it. Maybe I'm just subservient now, and I just kind of I'm just having a look through the comments as we're coming in.
Okay.
So as always, I'm going to be here reading out your comments. So if you have any questions whatsoever, or if you just want to send us some comments, I'm going to be reading them out. So I'll be reading out the names as well. And one that I've seen so far, I can see, oh, I forgot, I've lost the name. Oh, here it is. It's Vicky from Detroit, Michigan. Hello from Detroit, Michigan.
Hello, Detroit.
And I just love the fact that it says, ready to learn something new from Pete and Josh. And I like the fact that I've been tagged onto the end of that, because I am actually not doing anything today other than kind of, you know, did you think you were going to cut over?
I thought I was going to cut over. I did. I'm really conscious of it.
Stop worrying.
But today is all about chapter 3, embossing. So we're looking at our 3D, and we are looking at a multi-level embossing folders. Now, there are other embossing technologies in our chapter 3 collection. So you need to go across to the Sizzix website. It's .com if you're in the US, or .co.uk for the UK and the rest of Europe. But we're going to be looking at these wonderful, and there are 12 folders in total. And I'm going to share 6 techniques with you today. A couple of them kind of new, some that you might have seen before, but it's always nice to revisit old friends. And I've got the folders here for you. So we're going to switch to the overhead. Are we good to go? We're good. And much love to James, by the way. I didn't mention him last time. There's a guy over here. All the lights, all the cameras, the computers, everything. If Josh and I were left to look after this, we wouldn't be going live right now. Trust me. Very important part of the team, James. Thank you very much. Okay, he's smiling. Now, these are we're on the overhead now, I believe. So let's take you through some of the folders. And most of these I've actually used distress ink to pick up the color and to show you, to bring that lovely texture out. This one is Winter Sweater, as the name suggests. It's kind of a fair sweater pattern with some lovely deer on there. And this one is Halloween Elements. The depth of emboss and the amount of detail, it's quite staggering. This is designed by our very own Kath Green. She loves this one. We love this one. It's absolutely gorgeous. That's Halloween Elements. We'll be looking at that a little later. Now, abstract rounds. This is really cool. It's kind of almost like modern art there going on. So I hope you can see that in the light. The technique I used to get the color, well, that's distress ink. We use some masking there, and with our masking film. So check that on the website as well. Winter foliage, that needs no explanation. Again, so much depth. This is what we call multi. Well, no, it's actually, this is a 3D, but there's so many levels of depth there. That's winter foliage. Then delicate mistletoe. I don't want to mess with this one too much. This delicate mistletoe. I just wanted to show you in all its beauty, and we will be using that a little later, so stick around for that. That's delicate mistletoe. Snowflakes, it's another classic, very modern take on that. We've gone with minimalistic kind of color there. Really, really cool. Folded, great for backgrounds. Nordic pattern, you got this one, don't you, just Nordic pattern?
Oh, this is one of my favorites. Anything that has those lovely kind of illustrative, you know, outdoor themes.
There you go.
And
it is gorgeous. It's very kind of modern, you know, very contemporary, the style of illustration there. And summer wishes. Now this one, the things that you can do with this folder, unbelievable. It looks great, just an opulent color. There are tons of techniques. I'm gonna show you one, but there's lots more beside that. Is summer wishes, and it's kind of like, yeah, that whimsical kind of summer, the blowing away. Actually, this actually happens at the beginning of summer, isn't it? The dandelions, but that's what it brings to mind to me. Kind of a rising or a setting sun, and all those little things blowing away in the breeze. Then we've got 2 more for you. We've got winter pattern, and this is a multi-level. All your favorite winter motifs there. We've got berries, we've got holly, we've got snowflakes, everything going on there. And finally, geocrystals. Now this makes a fantastic background, and it's great with metallics because of that geometric pattern. When you get that going with your metallics, it's absolutely stunning. So those are the 12, and we're going to be highlighting some of them.
Just before we carry on here, can
please,
when I'm looking through these here, I'm obsessed with this. Are we going to be showing how to do this technique that you've done on abstract rounds? Are you going to be doing that technique, or are we leaving that for a later date?
Thanks for that link, Josh. No, we're not.
We're not. Well,
We're not. But do you know what? Later date, yes, indeed, because it's a technique I enjoy doing, and I think, as you say, it's a stunning technique. You can get some really good color blends with this as well. So, a later date. We will have to save that for a later date.
I'm excited for that live that we do. I thought I'd mention as well, I am getting a few comments that are letting me know that the sound is echoing a little bit. I'm not sure that there's anything. We are trying our best to sort that out, but thank you for letting us know.
There we are. Now, just as you did mention the abstract rounds, this is a card. This is a card
look at that
I made. Life is beautiful. Indeed it is. It's got a kind of a 50s, kind of 60s vibe going on there. And this is how I created it. So if you look here, we've got some stencil film. This is a lovely stencil film. And I cut the square and the rectangle by hand, and the circle, obviously, with one of our framelits dies. Now, and that's what I use. So I would put this over the top like that, and I just ink through. And then remove it, and then come in with the next one, and so on and so forth until I built up this lovely geometric pattern. So we did get it in, Josh.
We did. I mean, it has what you said. It's got that sort of, did you say 50s, 60s sort of vibe there? I don't want to sort of depreciate the value of this technique by saying that it kind of reminds me of, like you say, 50s, 60s sort of wallpaper or curtains.
You can call my work wallpaper or curtains.
I don't mean that in a negative way. I think it's just such a really cool, interesting technique, and I wish I had thought of it.
I'm so sorry I talked across you that time. I really am, but it's coming back to me. No, you're absolutely right. It does. It gives you that kind of a almost wallpaper decor kind of vibe. Absolutely, couldn't agree more. Now, first technique. I'm going to look at. This is a folder. This is the delicate mistletoe. Let's hold that up. Can you see that there? Lovely, lovely folder. This is a 3D. And what I'm going to do, you've probably seen techniques where people ink the folder with a braille. I'm going to do something slightly different. And I'm taking some of our Sizzix embossing ink. Now, this is clear. And I'm going to place it. Now, I'm not going too heavy because this is a very sticky, kind of tacky ink. It needs to be for what comes next. So I'm impressing into one side of the folder only. Of course, when you've done this, clean it up with a little bit of soap and water, comes away great. And I showed you a good hack earlier, didn't I?
Yes, you did. Yeah, do you know what? That in itself, I mean, it doesn't work on a card, that technique, but it could do.
Well, it could do. It could do.
Can I explain what you did?
Yeah,
it was,
you know,
Pete, to clean these embossing folders, he took some blue roll, so kitchen paper, and he actually, you know, did you wet it first?
No, it was completely dry.
So completely dry, and then he just ran it through the machine as he would a piece of cardstock, and it just took all of the what were you using at the time? Was it just inks or?
Well, what it was, we washed it, and when you wash these folders, of course, the water stays in the little grooves, and it's hard to get them out completely. So if you put it through the machine with some kitchen paper, so you just run the kitchen paper through, it takes away all.
Can I ask with this? So this technique that you're doing now, which is one that we've seen in the past where you've inked the embossing folder, as you say, is there a certain type of embossing folder that this works with?
That's a really good question, actually, because some it won't work with. Some 3Ds it won't, but you'll notice this part of the folder, except where it's recessed for the detail, is completely flat. Now that's quite important, that flat area, and it's the flat area that the paint or the embossing powder, in this case, is going on to. So yes, there are only certain types of folders. Try it with all of your embossing folders, but they work better with some than others. Now, at this point, I'm going to be bringing in my Big Shot machine. So that's the one I pulled from underneath today. And we'll see our folder. This side is the one that I've applied the embossing ink and placed my card there like so. Now, When I close this up, I want to be careful that that doesn't move now. I don't want it to move around because it's already in contact with the embossing ink. So when I drive that through, now I'm only putting this through once, okay? We normally say twice, but I'm going through once. And we do say to spritz the card, but today I'm not doing that. You could spritz it from behind, but you wouldn't want to spritz the front. That's for certain. So put my machine down for 1 second. So that ink is now transferred onto here. And the next stage in this is to take some lovely embossing powder. This is gold embossing powder. You can actually, it looks stunning with green. I did put green as a background earlier. So I'm going to flood that with the gold embossing powder.
Do you think I should? This is a good time for me to do my joke that I.
Oh,
that
yeah.
I always work
do your
naturally
joke,
and organically. Okay. Gold embossing folder. Yeah. Don't use that stuff. No, wait. Don't lose that stuff.
Right.
It's like gold dust.
That was brilliant. You know what? I'm sorry, you can always watch this video back. If you're actually rolling on the floor laughing at the moment and you're going to miss the rest of the video, you can watch it back. It's okay. We will record this. It will appear on our channel.
I think it's just a shame that we can't put a laughter track over that. Yeah.
Oh, what a shame.
Oh, well.
What a missed opportunity. But you know what, folks? The Edinburgh Festival's lost our game. That's what I like to think. So let's take that. Now, you'll see what I've done is when I tip the excess powder away, it's just left the black. It's left that detail there. So I'm taking my Sizzix heat tool, my well-worn, well-loved Sizzix heat tool. And that normally with embossing, we just say go full speed. But no, I'm doing it on half heat. And there's a good reason for that. And I'll explain it as I go along. It takes almost twice as long when you've got it on the lower heat setting. But the reason I do that, and the reason that I'm holding it quite far away, is because when you put it on the high heat setting, the gold actually starts to break up. And this gives you a much, much smoother finish. So we're quite low and we're quite far away. Normally, I would hold this heat tool much, much closer. There we are. We'll go around just gradually.
You're just starting to see, I can see that we're picking it up on the overhead camera now, the change that's happening. I think I'm seeing it from an angle where the light's hitting it, and I can just see that embossing folder turning into that almost like a gold enamel layer, and it is so satisfying to watch.
Isn't it though? No, it really, I mean, it is every time. I do, it's like shrink plastic. It's one of those things, embossing powder. It's that transformative process. It's magical. It's magical, and it gets me every single time. It's a lovely thing to watch this heating through. Now, there's still mottling in this powder, but that's fine because it's an effect. It's an effect. But let me hold this up and let me give you an idea. Let me show you how that is transformed. That enamel around those lovely mistletoe fronds and berries. And then it is a cool technique. I really like that one. And here's a card. Here's a card that I made with this similar panel. Quite simple. The stamp is also from our Chapter 3 collection there. So it's a nice, simple card. And I made all these cards, all the ones I'm showing today. I actually made them out of just the offcuts that I was practicing the techniques with. So kind of threw this together for you folks. But I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it on a board. I've got a board specifically for all of these, because everything I'm doing today is 7.5 by 7.5, or roughly 3 by 3 inches. So I'm going to put those on a board at the end. Let's put that over to one side. Now, next up, Chapter 3, very festive, also Halloween. So this one is really good. This is something that I haven't done for such a long time. But we're taking some same size cardigan, and I am spritzing both sides. Now, for those of you who've seen embossing videos before, you will know the reason for that. But the reason is, for those of you who haven't, is it allows fibers in the card to stretch. And particularly with a die like this one, there's lovely Halloween elements folder, rather not die. It's quite dramatic, the depth of emboss here. So it's even more pertinent that we get a really clean.
So when the fibers are allowed to stretch because you've sprayed it with water, there was just water, wasn't it?
It was just water.
So that then is going to improve the emboss as well as not let the card tear.
Yeah, you can't let the surface of the card tear it because it puts it under a tremendous amount of pressure when it goes through the machine. So had I not spritzed it, maybe the surface of the card would tear, but I would definitely not get as deep an emboss. And you noticed with this folder, I put it through 3 times. That's quite important, that is, because it will improve the depth of the emboss as you go through. Now, I appreciate it's quite difficult to see at this point, but what I'm going to do to bring that to life is to take some pigment ink. Now, I'm using some Memento pigment ink. There are all sorts on the market. Choose your favorite. It's a white pigment ink, but I'm going for, now I could use silver luster wax on this and it will look stunning. But this, the reason I'm using this on this folder in particular, because it gives me an almost ghostly effect.
Well, that's it. That's perfect for Halloween as well, because if luster wax is going to give you the shine you might want, you can use that for Halloween. It's brilliant for festive makes when you get that lovely shine. But this is giving you the same effect, but a matte effect.
Yeah,
that's perfect for Halloween.
It is a very matte effect, and you can see the way. Oh my word, the way that this picks up the detail. It's absolutely stunning. It's very, very monochromatic, obviously.
And even with the detail on the little tombstones as part of this embossing folder, it has that RIP in there, which isn't picked up by this.
It does. It does.
It's so cool.
You'd see it if you did opulence, you'd see it, but but the way that it picks it up. But it, as you say, it is perfect.
With these embossing folders, so this is by Kath. It's one of those, the spacing of all those little illustrations in that embossing folder is so satisfying. It reminds me, I think we're allowed to mention Mr. Doodle, and he has that incredible ability to do the spacing.
Oh yeah,
it's a similar thing we're getting with these embossing folders, because everything just fits.
It's perfect. It's wonderful. It's a lovely, lovely, lovely technique. It really is. And it's perfect on black card. But try it with other colors of card. Try it with different types of makes as well. Look at that one. There you go. Now, I did a card earlier that said merry and bright, so I changed that to scary and bright. As Josh pointed out, it could be scary. No, it could be merry and fright.
Well, we said
be scary and fright.
But we had a discussion about that, didn't we?
We did. We won't bore you with the details, but there you go. But scary and bright, there you go. Just off at an angle like that. That's another cut. That's another offcut. A lot of fun. Okay, let's put this one to one side, and that is number 2. Now, when I've done all these, incidentally, when I've got all these, I'm going to put them on a board, and it's going to have the name of each one underneath. Now, remember how the other day we actually made some cards, and we said that we will pick a name at random, and you guys can win the cards that I made, should you wish. Well, today you can wear this board. The board, when we put it all together, you can actually win that board. Oh, on this camera. Yeah, so when we've got the board, it's ready to go. You can have that, and you can be a reminder of all those techniques. So let's hope we don't mess up.
So that's it. So I'm going to be looking through here.
You're going to be looking through. So yeah, when we come to the end, if we just scroll up and down, I'll say stop, and we'll just choose one at random.
Okay, just before we carry on, there are a few lovely comments. We haven't had any actually, there is one question so far, but just remember, if you have any questions at all, there are no stupid questions. Just shoot it over and I will read it out and we'll answer it live. I can see one here that says, would that effect work on embossed snowflakes? And that's from Carol Ann Catterall.
We're talking about the white. Yes, it would. Yes, it would. I mean, even if you did, particularly if you've got a really dark blue background as well with snowflakes, I mean, it work on black, but yeah, it just picks it up. It does work, obviously, that kind of ghost effect. It does work better if you've got a very, very dark. So say you've got holly leaves on a very dark green, or you've got you know, like as you say, snowflakes on a very dark blue. So choose your background color. It's a wonderful effect, but it does need to be dark.
Brilliant. So that was Caroline Catterall. The rest of the comments at the minute are more just comments. We've got one from Tiffany Muller that just says, I love watching Pete and Josh, which is absolutely
Cute,
lovely
Tiffany.
to hear. Then we've got, love the 3D embossing folders and appreciated the tip of using the water before embossing. Well, let me tell you, that is going to totally up your embossing game.
It's a game changer.
It is a game changer. And that one is from Jim and Peg Zalesnik. So we have one more question, and this one is from Tiffany Muller. What white pigment ink did Pete use? I'm new to pigment inks.
Right, I used white pigment ink. Honestly, if you go have a look online and see the recommendations for different pigment inks, there are lots of videos where they compare different pigment inks. They have different properties. So what you want one, you want one that is quite white. You don't want one that is too chalky. This one was Memento. It's called Wedding Dress. That's the color. And yeah, that's the one I've got. It's yeah, it's just a nice white pigment ink. But I've got several upstairs. That's just the one that I'm using today. That's the one that worked best for that kind of make. So now we're switching across. Now we're switching across to our lovely creamy acrylics, and these are the Sizzix creamy acrylics. Are we overhead? Or are we? Okay, let's go to overhead camera, and I'm going to show you. This is the silver. We've got the gold, and we've got the rose gold here. Now, these do have some. You've probably seen acrylics, and they have some wonderful properties. They really do. These kind of dry matte. Well, these are metallic, so they don't dry matte as such. They do retain that lovely metallic sheen. One of the great things about these is they've got a sort of a. I think you described it well once. I can't remember how, just, but it's kind of almost like a plasticity. It's an elasticity.
Mhm.
They do kind of stretch. You know, so they don't, because some are very chalky. Some acrylics out there, some of the matte acrylics, particularly, you know, in the craft sphere, are very, very chalky, which is fine because you know what, they are great acrylics as well. But these are not so chalky. And that is going to help with what I'm going to do next. So you can see I've blended there some silver, some gold, and some rose gold, which are some of our key colors, certainly metallics anyway.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure, please do.
When you do that kind of organic, what would you call it, a smear down the thing?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, I will do it in the same way as you, but I can't remember ever sort of learning how to do the best sort of smear with these palette knives. But is there a knack to it?
Well, yeah, practice is the knack, really. Yeah. I mean, anybody can do it, but you know, you want to. Obviously, you can see here that it's still one of the great things about it is you can see this dimension in there. You know, it is a thick, creamy acrylic, so you can see some real dimension in the paint that I've added and some smears. Now, I can pick this up. I can put the palette knife down there and lift it off like that, and I can get a lovely. Can you see the texture going on there from just where I lifted the palette knife away? Or I can smooth that out again. It's very, very satisfying. I wish I could afford to just waste paints doing that.
Yeah.
There's nothing nicer.
So really sort of not too much pressure, so you can still get those bits
Absolutely.
of organic dimension.
Not too much pressure. It depends the kind of coverage that you want and the kind of dimension that you want. But imagine this is dried for 3-4 hours. I'm going to put that to one side. I'm not going to make you guys wait 3-4 hours because I've got a couple that I did earlier. You can see I've blended some rose gold, gold, silver, all sorts going on there. And I'm going to spritz the rear. There's little points spritzing the front because obviously it doesn't absorb water. Now, let's bring in my lovely machine again. This time I'm going to use Geo Diamonds. This is a lovely geometric. Probably heard me mention earlier that it works really well with metallics. So let's see how it works with this lovely paint. And this is something that I did, I guess, around 10:30 this morning. So what are we now? It's probably about 6 hours ago. So just make a load of boards, put them to one side, leave them to dry. And there we have it. Let's take a look at this. Wow. Boom. How about that? How about that? Look at how well it picks up the emboss there. And you get in that lovely metallic sheen, and it's a very soft kind of sheen. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous effect. Now, let me pick up a card that I did using that effect. And here it is, just on the side. There's, oh, upside down. We left a bit of the black as well. You don't have to cover the whole thing. So
I love that. I love the black because it ties in with the sentiment.
it does. It kind of picks up. It echoes with that sentiment there, as you rightly said. So, you know, it's a very, very usable technique. So there you go.
We do have
there's another one.
Sorry, babe.
No,
I'm cutting over you now.
Honestly, good.
So it says, there's a question here from Jane Breeden. It just says, could you use parchment in the embossing folders?
You can. Yeah, that's a really good question. Parchment is a wonderful thing to use because what happens when it stretches, it goes white. It stays clear and it goes white in the high areas. So obviously, it depends on the type of parchment. It's harder to soak parchment, I would think. So you do need to be, just play around. Whatever you've got to hand, give it a go. That's how we learn more of our techniques, is just by trial and error. So give it a go. Give it a go. Now, look at this. Oh, this stuff is so fine. These are our wonderful decorative metallic flakes. Now we have gold. Again, we have silver and we have rose gold. So our Effectz range and our making essentials, those are our three key metallics. And I like to keep them in a tub like this, and you'll probably find out why in a second. But they are going to work this time. We have got some wonderful adhesive sheets. Now these, you can see, it's almost like double-sided tape, but in 6x6 format, or 15x15 approximately. You can attach this to your cardstock, you can die cut it, it turns your die cut into a sticker you can add to your project straight away. But what I'm actually going to do today, I've taken one of our 7.5 inch or 7.5 centimeter squares or 3 inch, and I've added one of these adhesive sheets to it before cutting to size. Now, oh, I saw there's a bit of adhesive that I messed up there because I cut it. Oh, I made a big mistake. Never mind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this just face down in there. There's no skill, nothing. It's completely random. It's one of those wonderful, wonderful random techniques that we love so much. And I'm just scraping it off now. You can use a heavy brush. This is kind of a scouring pad, but I'm going to brush away those excess flakes. The beauty of this is, you get that variegated emboss. You could do it in just silver, in just gold, or in just rose gold, and you're going to get fantastic effects. See where I missed with my glue? That's my bad, that is. But the emboss that you get is completely different to any other vibe you get, say, with metallic sheets or with metallic cardstock. Very, very different indeed. So we've got that. You can see the sheen there. See how kind of the sheen, it's kind of matte and gloss at the same time, but it's oh so metallic. And again, on the back, let's get rid of that excess. I'm going to spritz with my water. Now, put that to one side for a second, and I'll take my machine. I'm going to use, you know what? I'm going to use that geodiamonds again because it does work so well with metallics. Let's pop that on there. And this is what we call a multi-level folder. So it exists on 3 different levels of emboss. So I'll run it through. I'm going to run this one through twice. There we are. Take away my machine. And this is what we get. So let's pick that away. So you can see it's kind of like, it sticks inside the folder, which is a good thing. That means that it's embossing.
Your die picks over there, just underneath your merry and bright card.
I thought I'd lost that. I thought it was gone for good. I was actually about to blame you for stealing it. But there we are. So there we are. Look at where I missed with my adhesive. That's my bad. It's not about the adhesive. But can you see how the emboss, some places It's very high metallic sheen, and other places not. It's a very, very unique kind of finish, that is. You can't get that with anything other than these wonderful flakes, whether you're using them in the 3 colors like that or just a single color. Now let's put that down and we'll bring in the card that I made. Again, this was just a test piece. Popped it on the card, put the sentiment on, and that's it. Merry and bright. And indeed it is. So we'll pop that to one side. So that's 4. We've got 2 more to go. Now, next up, we're going back to more traditional technique that I'm sure many of you know. So just white card, I'm going to spritz it, and I'm going to use that lovely summer wishes folder. You know, the one with the dandelions and things like that.
Do you know what I love about this folder? I mean, obviously, the sort of repeat pattern ones, they have their uses, you know, slightly different uses. But a folder like this, to me, it makes, how do I describe it? It makes sort of one picture that then when you use these techniques on it, it's almost like you're creating the picture that's on there.
Oh, very much.
I mean? Like, it feels, so say if you did a dry brush technique on a folder like this, it can kind of feel like you're painting that lovely composition that's on there. I just love it.
No, you're absolutely right. And with this folder particularly lends itself to so many techniques. Now, I've embossed that. You see, there it is. Let's try and hope you guys can catch that there. So that's part of the folder, obviously. But I showed you the sample earlier. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to put that to one side. And here's one that I created earlier. Now, you can ink this. You can ink the folder and then emboss it. You can ink it afterwards, and it will pick out the highlights. But what I want to do this time is work on the reverse. Now, some people they don't deboss. They emboss, but they don't deboss, and that's what we're going to do now. So we're going to try and get maybe a setting sun, or maybe it's early morning. I'm not entirely sure. So we're going to use some of our distress inks, and the colors I have here are tumble glass, saltwater taffy, and worn lipstick. So taking my lovely blending tool here, and I'm going to come in from the top, and I'm going to blend it. So I'm starting, and I'm working, you see, I'm working on my Sizzix Media Mat today, and I start on the outside of this panel, and I come in. So I can lift some of that ink off, and I can bring it back in. So we're bringing it down, and it's exactly as Josh said before. You're sort of creating the picture, you know, the colors you choose, the intensity of color that you apply. And as you come down the folder, you start to bring this wonderful debossed detail to life. What I would suggest when you're working with something like this is go quite gentle. So apply more ink gradually. Don't be tempted to really push down heavily into this, because what will happen is that the sponge will go inside those debossed areas, and that's not really what we want. So there we are, we're coming down. So there's a sky. I think it's a summer morning. I really do. There we are. Now that's the blue. And I'm going to come in with that saltwater taffy, which is a lovely pink color, one of the newer colors from Tim Holtz, of course. And we're blending that. So people might not think pink and blue are natural kind of bedfellows, but they really do go well together. They really do. Maybe that's just me.
I love these blends. The way they blend into each other is great. You're great at picking colors. I'll give you that.
Well, do you know what? It's funny. We were talking about this the other day, and I don't know, the people at home, I mean, you know, when I sit down to make projects and stuff like that, I use Pinterest all the time. And I've got boards with color blends that I've seen. It might be on packaging, it might be fashion, it might be on a project, it could be anywhere. It could be wallpaper. We were talking about wallpaper earlier. It could be wallpaper. But the point is, that I use that as a jumping off point. I use that for inspiration. Of course, I have wonderful Sizzix cardstock. There are so many colors in that now. It makes it so much easier for me. But yes,
But it's so deliberate. I mean, you've got those two different pinks in one card, and they just bring out the image so well.
I think it's yeah, it's practice makes perfect, because you've got some lovely blends as well. I mean, some of the stuff that you do, and I look at that and I thought, I've never thought of that, but it just works. It just works, and it is practice. But there you go. So that's debossing. That's inking over a debossed panel, and let's look at the panel. So this is the whole length of the folder, and you can see that's been trimmed to size to fit on the card. Choose happy. There you go, but wonderful, wonderful detail in that, and that deboss effect really, really does pick that.
It really does, doesn't it? Because it almost darkens just outside the deboss as well, so it really highlights it.
I'm glad that you highlighted, no pun intended, that, because it is something which lends deboss rather than embossed inking something quite special. So
okay,
there you go.
I think it is time to just read out a few of these comments.
Sure,
I did notice that our very own Lou Collins is watching. So Lou Collins from Craft Stash, and she said, if I can find the comment now, because they're coming in thick and fast, these comments.
And fast.
You know what? I'm not going to be able to find it now. I promise you I'm not lying. Oh, there we go. Papercrafting with Luke. Just says hi, Josh and Pete, with a wavy thing. Hello.
Hello.
We have Norma Clute Garrett. Love those colour blends, Pete.
Thank you.
And we have quite a lot of comments from someone who their handle is a girl in her shed. And so I'd like to say hi to this person, but I mean, you don't have to give us your name, but it'd be nice to know who you are, where are you watching from?
I like the mystery.
Oh, do you?
I do, yeah.
It's like a superhero. And she just said, love that ink color combo, but also we've had a few comments off a girl in her shed. Another one that said, I love the flakes, so shiny. Definitely one of my favorite products. So, I mean, it's great to hear from you. And then we have someone who, Penny Stevens, is just as hello from Western Australia. And I love comments like this. I love hearing where people are watching from, because again, it's that sort of crafting community from all over the world coming together. And that's what we like to see.
Well, we hope you've enjoyed this afternoon. We've done 5 of our 6, and we're coming down to the last one now. And it's a good friend of yours, mine. I can smell this. Can you smell?
Ah, I love it.
Orange oil. Orange oil. They put orange oil in these, and it's just I'm constantly, honestly, because these smell like boot polish, and I smell those too, because it reminds me of when I was cleaning my shoes.
It is. It's like a multi-sensory experience using our luster wax.
What we're going to try now. James is a whiz with the technology. Next time we'll try and make it a scratch and sniff. So when it's on the screen, you can scratch the card. No, I don't think that's
James.
That's even beyond James. No, he's kind of going. He goes, just stretching it now, jumping the shark, as they say. Right, one more. So we are using our luster waxes, and I've done the Halloween again, so you can see the difference. Now, we did that ghosted effect. What I like to do now, good tips. You've probably seen these before, but I'm applying this, and I'm starting off with the rose gold. I'm applying it. I don't want much on my finger, and I'm really, with the rose gold, I'm really pushing into here. I want to pick up everything. I want to get the base. I want to get there's going to be bits of black left. I'm not actually just eviscerating the black, otherwise I'd have used rose gold card for that. So I want that to come through, but I'm really pressing in with the first color, because this is all about using the 3 together. One at a time, very, very effective. When you put the 3 together, the combo is irrepressible. It really is. So again, and the reason I use this is because sometimes you get that out of there, get a big blob on your finger, and you make an unholy mess of your project. We don't want to do that. So we apply it here first to avoid that very instance. And just coming in, this is looking great already, because obviously it's kind of like it's It's rose gold. And it looks almost against the black. It's kind of that Halloweeny, almost an orange luster to it. If you look at it in the context of Halloween, although it's certainly not orange. But there we are. That's the rose gold. Really pressed in with that. That's a lot of fun. Now I'm going with the gold. The gold, I'm not applying so much pressure. So I'm going a bit lighter. And this is just going to pick up the absolute highlights, but going a bit deeper. Not going as deep as the rose gold. So the rose gold is sitting there in the background. Now suddenly we've got two shades going on, and you can really, really see the difference. I'm gonna, when I've done this gold, I'm gonna hold it up and let you see for yourselves actually. There we are, get a bit more there. Yeah, that's the gold and the rose gold together. So that's coming through. Now, finally, last but not least, I'm going to reach for the silver and make sure I've got no big gloves. With this, I'm literally just picking up those high details, bits of the spider web, the detail, the bubbling over of the pot there, the bat's wings, the witch's hat, the buckle on the witch's hat, all those little things. It's a very, very subtle application, this one. Just absolutely picking up the highlights. And then when I lift it up, you'll see there, it's all going on. It's a lovely, lovely effect. Really cool. There we are. And that's it. And those are our things. I know you guys have probably seen lots of wax before. But it's always good to remind you. It's always good to remind you some of the techniques that we employ to get the very best out of some of these wonderful products.
Especially, I always love your analogy with this about salt in a meal.
Yeah,
with luster wax, where Pete talked about the fact that you can always add more salt to a meal, but once it's in there, you can't take it out, and it's the same sort of thing. I just think that's the best analogy.
It really is. It really, oh, I've got one more camera. Now, this is doesn't really relate to what we just did. Are we overhead or are we front camera? We're overhead. There you go. But that's just, now that's the Nordic sweater. And this is just some little strips which I've cut down there. We've used red inks, we've used green inks, and I've used a very pale antique linen, I think, on the base from there. So that's just using strips of that. So there was another cut. There was another one I made with the offcuts when I was playing around this morning. So, folks, that is it for the techniques. But I have got this board. Now, I'm going to, well, do you want to have a look through the comments?
Yeah, we'll look through the comments.
So we'll choose a winner in a second. I'm going to apply all of those different panels to this board.
So I thought, because all of the comments, they're absolutely lovely comments. We haven't had too many questions in, and any questions that we have had in, it seems like we've answered them as we went on.
Cool.
But I thought, you know, when we were talking about like crafting community, I thought it'd be a nice idea to just let you guys know where everybody's watching from. So I went back and had a look. We've got Carol Ann Catterall. She was from Lincoln, UK. So a fellow English person. Well, you're not English.
That's quite right.
Ian. Pete is from Wales, not England, aren't you? So, but we're both UK.
It's a very small distinction in our ever shrinking world. We need, you know, it doesn't matter. Hey, he's from the other side of the border. It doesn't really make any difference.
Nope. So Pauline Rojo, good morning, Pete and Josh from California, USA. I'm very, very jealous. You get to live in California. Love California. So we've got Adon Moo. There was actually a question here, which is what side to put the ink on the embossing folder. I'm not entirely sure which part we were looking at.
If we're inking the embossing folder, so
oh, I see.
Yeah,
I
think this is
right.
this is the
so it's the deboss part, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's the part where, so if I run my hands across it, this has got the ridges, this has got the business end, this has got all those raised pieces of mistletoe, and this is the recess, this is the deboss side. always on the deboss side because that's quite flat. Now you can apply it. It's best if you use a brayer, so you can actually pick up pigment ink or distressed oxides with a brayer and apply them to your folder before doing that. But if you're using the embossing ink pad, as I did earlier, then you can apply the pen directly onto there. It doesn't really make a tremendous amount of difference. So it's the deboss side of the folder.
Thank you very much. So, and that was from a Donru who is in, and I hope I'm saying this right, is Yawata, Nigeria. Then we have Kay Furnish, who's watching from Southern California High Desert. Says, sorry, I'm late to the party. Don't worry about it. And then we have, okay. Now, I think you'll be better at reading this name, Pete, because Pete is a man of the world.
Oh, I don't know that.
He's much more confident than I am. I don't like to butcher people's
Benunda Chamusklai.
Okay,
and that's a guess.
So this is from someone in Haiti.
Nice.
We have Sandra Kuschel from Germany, Deborah Friel from Erie, Pennsylvania. I love places called Erie.
Erie, yeah.
Yeah,
probably,
there used to be a show called Erie, Indiana.
I think it's probably on Lake Erie.
Right. Yeah. Then we've got Susie Fick from Illinois, US. And we asked earlier about a girl in her shed. Yeah. And you know you don't want to know.
I don't want to know.
You don't want to know.
I like it. It sounds like one of those thrillers, you know, a girl in her shed, like the girl on the train and all that. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Well, do you know what then? I'll leave it at that. But I mean, she has written in the comments where she's from.
I don't know. I like the mystery. I do.
So thank you for your comments.
Thank you very much. Now I'm going to hold up. This is what we've just done. These are the techniques which we use. They're all on one board. Underneath it says, so can you kind of scroll up and down through those comments? And I'll say stop. And then we'll send this along to you with, you know, I don't know what you're going to use, just as a reminder of the video you just watched. And
that is Carol Ann Catterall.
Hey, who says, hi, Pete and Josh, looking forward to watching. Well, I hope you continue to watch, Caroline. And here it is. So thank you very much. We will be putting this safely in a padded envelope and sending it off to you probably tomorrow morning, I would have thought.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, congrats. Thank you. That was a lot of fun. So 6 techniques, all about the techniques today. It was all about chapter 3 embossing folders. So there are some other embossing technologies in chapter 3. So please go to the Sizzix website and check those out. And there's obviously some fantastic die sets as well. It's been really good playing with these the last couple of days. It's not playing, it's very serious work.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't believe me. They're playing. Yeah, no, but thank you. And listen, as I always say, we would love to see what you've been up to. We would love to see what you've been making with these wonderful Sizzix products. You know, the Effectz. I've used a lot of Effectz products on these. Get your Effectz out. Show us what you made. And put it on, is it My Sizzix Story? My Sizzix Story.
Yes, that's our hashtag.
That's the hashtag. So there you go. But it's lovely to hear from you. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks for engaging with us. It's really good to know that there's somebody out there, except for my wife and daughter, who said she was going to comment. She said she was going to.
Well, you must have behaved yourself this time.
I've been good. She said, you talked across Josh. He gets 10 out of 10. I got nothing out of 10. Thank you, Poppy, if you were watching. I'm gonna make a horrible. I'm gonna make mushrooms tonight. She hates mushrooms.
Oh.
Mushrooms. There you go. So there you go. This is Winging His Way to Somebody. Thank you very much for joining us. We will be with you again soonish, I guess.
Yeah.
I've been Pete. He's been Josh. Thank you very much. There you go. Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
And cool.